When it comes to the allocation of MSO equity and other retention strategies, what are your thoughts about what should be top of mind?
Yeah, I think obviously when it comes to the allocation of really shifting from like a compensation mindset to a true ownership mindset. And I think who gets equity and why becomes a big stumbling block. And I think equity needs to be tied to value creation, not just title or seniority. And you want to be able to reward the top performers who are critical to the platform going forward, to make sure they see meaningful gains and participation. And I think, balancing the legacy partners versus the next generation is a challenge, right? So senior partners may be looking to monetize today, where younger partners may be looking for long-term upside. So the model needs to kind of consider, providing near-term liquidity for senior partners, but preserving future equity pools to monetize the next generation, as well as laterals and other talent that you bring in. So, and part of it we mentioned earlier today was a retention incentive, right? So it can't just be a time-based vesting. Best structures, revolve around looking at performance-based and time-based on some of the equity hold periods. And I think there needs to be clarity around liquidity events. You know, when and how people get paid, what's the second bite of the apple, what that really means in these types of transactions. And because, the first time someone sells a private equity, typically there's a cash and an equity component. That equity component is basically something that they're going to hold to the next turn. But as well, there's also a lot of profit-based units that are going to be able to be giving out to either employees, non-equity partners, or well as laterals that can really help grow the firm. It could help provide incentive to keep some of your key people there, and it could also be used as rewards going forward, in lieu of compensation, as years go on. So I think it's very difficult in law firms to have strict non-competes and non-solicits because of it's not the law does not allow for that. So you really need to understand how you can put these models in place to keep talent, and incentivize growth for the long term. And I think it comes down to a level of making sure that there's some level of fairness and transparency in that process. It has to be understood. The employees and partners, non-equity partners, need to feel that it was done fairly, and it wasn't just to a sellout of the senior partners. That was really a long-term growth opportunity for the firm.
I have a friend who's a senior executive at a major investment bank. Every year for the past 10 years, he threatens to retire. Every year for the past 10 years, he gets another slug of restricted stock units with a 5-year vesting. And he looks at the vesting schedule and thinks, all right, I won't retire. It's been going on for 10 years. He'll probably die there, or they'll throw him out. Even with the ethical constraints about non-competes for lawyers, a properly structured equity program at the margins will eliminate partners leaving, but it will reduce the crazy spiraling lateral partner movement that we've been seeing over the past 10 and particularly the past 5 years. It'll reduce it. It'll increase the costs of a partner moving. You'll have higher retention, more stability in the firm. It'll really actually help. My only other comment is I think the right outside investment partner can help you design an equity program that will work for your firm and help achieve the goals that you're trying to accomplish. This problem is like checkers. It has been solved in the outside economy. It's a new problem in the U.S. Law firm market because of the historical factors that we talked about earlier. But there is a lot of very smart knowledge on this issue in the possession of the best private equity funds, which are not always the biggest, But I think this is one to get some real help, not just from your outside advisors, but also from from whichever capital provider you select as your partner.
We've also seen that if everyone's aligned with the incentive under the MSO and excited by those prospects, uh, uh, the ability to a departure, but unable to gain interest in another MSO, we think that would be enforceable. And so there are some novel ways of people thinking about that as we're going through this new structure as well.